In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is a beautiful Friday, July 18th, 2025, coming to you from our studio at Techtown. I am Jer Stays, and joining me from west of Woodward, but also with fabulous weather. This is one of the best mornings that I feel like I've felt in a long time. Devon O'Reilly, how are you?
I am fantastic. Coming to you from the banks of the Rouge River. The breeze is flowing. I mean, it is so nice to not be hot. And we got a good one today. So spend it outside. I think the weekend will be okay. I mean, a storm might pass through, but I think it's going to stay around high 70s, like 80 degrees, which feels just pleasant as all get out right now.
Yeah, I recommended all outdoor events. I now do a segment on WJR AM 760 every morning about where to go. And when I got up at, dawn, a little bit before dawn, because I got to wake up early to prep for this stuff. The thing is that when you feel that 60 degrees, when you take the dog out, it's life-giving. It's not that I don't love a good 80 degrees, but Devon O'Reilly, I am a big man, and over 90, I'm not a happy camper.
I know, it's just right. It makes you when you're sweating like that and it's 90 and it's humid, you're angrier. You're a little more ornery for some reason, right? I mean, I'm the same way. Absolutely.
First, we should start with where we've been, and I hear rumors. You crossed Woodward.
I not only did I cross Woodward, Jer, I was in the Far East as far as I am concerned. I mean, for me, I was in the Far East on what some out there may know as Gawkler Point, but that's a little inside baseball certainly for West Siders. You know Gawkler Point, right?
Oh, I do, and in fact, because I am from this near area of the East Side, you're speaking my language. Right near Gawkler Point is a bird sanctuary.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I'm also on a migratory path over at my office too. So these Fords and their birds, they knew what they were doing. So yeah, I was over at Gawkler Point, which many people may know as the Edsel and Eleanor Ford House. Sister property or brother property, son property, however you want to call it. I don't know how we really reference that. But, I do get a lot of confusion. The one on the east side, as we'll call it, is, I want to be clear, the Edsel and Eleanor Ford House. Henry Ford's son and his wife lived there. Henry and Clara Ford had nothing to do other than giving them the land to build that house. So it's a big point of confusion, I think, though. But for our listeners, Jer, I think it's important to know that's Edsel Ford's house.
Well, and Edsel, I am biased, but Edsel is my favorite historic Ford.
Let's do a quick, minute history lesson. Edsel was the only son of Henry Ford, and they had a kind of, I would say not contentious isn't the right word. They loved each other. Henry loved his son, but he was really tough on him. And Edsel was very different than Henry. He was much more, and I appreciate it too, Jer, and you would too. He was much more of a showman. He liked nice things, fast cars, big houses, parties. Cocktails, which, I'm sorry, the Henry did not like. So we got beef there. But Edsel was the one to throw big, dinner parties and cocktail parties. And he wanted to get the heck away from Henry when it was time. And he got married. And so he went all the way from, obviously, he was born and grew up in Dearborn. He moved all the way over, built a massive house and estate, really, an entire estate over in Grosse Pointe, which is where a lot of the money was flowing in those days. And he had just a big entertaining house. He had a lot of entertaining, a lot of fun stuff. They had 4 kids that they raised there. Unfortunately, Edsel died very early. He died in 1940. And Eleanor lived there, I think, until 1976 or 77. So they kept it very, very nice. And they've got a beautiful restaurant there.
We had one of the people on talking about their additional wing that they did. It's in the archives.
They were able to build Yeah, they were able to build some new buildings on there. They're beautiful. The kind of a visitor center space and a beautiful restaurant called the Continental, which is really cool. Full service restaurant out there. It's full bar, cafe, all that sort of thing. Sit down restaurant. So I got to go out there. I would say out there for business, getting to sit down with Mark over there who runs Ford House, and chat a bit. So it was really nice to go out there. Lunch was lovely. It was a really nice restaurant. It seemed like a lot of the community, a lot of the East Siders. It seems like a lot of East Siders seem to be walking the grounds, just kind of using it as kind of a little bit of a public space, which essentially it is.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. They do a car show over there, and there is one room that is my favorite in that estate, and that is the art.
I think I know what it is.
It's the Art Moderne room.
Yes. I'll let you say your piece, but that was one of those. It's so interesting because the house is kind of a hodgepodge of different eras because of when they lived there. So like there's stuff from 76, there's stuff from the 50s, but then there's these bedrooms. I think one particular, what you're talking about, just this beautiful, almost like futuristic looking room. And that was, I think, the bedroom, right? Bedroom for the kids.
Yeah, it was. And the thing is about it is that it gives this big, I don't think it's set up as a bedroom for the kids anymore. If I remember, there's like a couch in there or something, but it gives this big feeling like you're on an old train, like a classic train you see in a movie poster. And modern is different than Art Deco, right? They have some differences there if you want to get super architecturally nerdy, but it is my favorite room in the house.
It is really, really cool and kind of surprising as you're walking through this, old kind of English castles, Tudor style house. You have some of these rooms that are that mid to late 30s. So it was cool to go check it out again. My gig these days is hanging out in a 1915 home. So seeing something from late 20s, which is when it was built, the end of 1928 there, is really cool. And seeing how different Edsel and Eleanor and those kids lived versus how Henry and Clara lived, which was two completely different lifestyles. Well, Jer, were you out on the east side, west side, or whereabouts?
Okay, so as people may know, I'm settling into my new spot on the east side, still within
That's right. Yeah.
Still within the historic.
You had to stay.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to stay on the east side.
Oh, for sure, the continuity. And the thing is that this part of Detroit was part of Detroit for a long time. The East Side had a number of acquisitions over the years, but where I am on the East Side was still part of the city, in the 1880s, 1870s. And so there's a lot of really cool old buildings. There's old photos you can find. One of those old buildings has been changed into, in recent years, a combination coffee shop and laundromat. And so I'm going to go the absolute reverse of what you did with Fine and Fancy, and I'm going to go with Cheap and Cheerful.
That's a great combo.
The Commons at Mac and Beals, just west of Van Dyke. It is put together by a community group there. I was not sure, because I've had some neighbors who've gone through and done laundry there, but they didn't tell me how good the coffee was. Nobody told me that this laundromat has really good coffee, like quality cold brew, great lattes, good pastries, and breakfast sandwiches and stuff. But here's the deal. The value for money at this place is off the charts. I got out of there with a coffee, a breakfast sandwich, and a cookie for $10. You can't do that anywhere nowadays.
Wow. No, not at all.
It was good. I've gone there multiple times. The breakfast sandwich that they have is simple. There's this really great spicy onion jelly or pepper jelly on it. It's really good. But Cheap and Cheerful, where I find myself going there more often, and it's good. But thing is at the front of a laundromat. So I enjoy it. It's clean. It's obviously clean, but it's not like total hipster cafe vibes. It's like coffee shop in front of a laundromat. Yeah, neighborhood vibes. And I love it. The other thing that's right next to there, if you take a little tiny walk down Beals, not far, you can see it from the window. One of Detroit's old electrical substations from back in the day is vacant and sitting right there. Apparently, they're all for sale by the city. So if you want to catch yourself one of the coolest old buildings, it's really cool. It's raised off the street. It's from an era when, streetcars were heavy. Since it's in that, more original Detroit street grid, it really matches in. I mean, there's just so many cool things to find. in Island View, Gratiot Grand, Indian Village, West Village, that whole thing. So I just wanted to mention it because if you're looking for cheap and cheerful, go over there. Super great people, really kind, lots of neighborhood folks. You'll get a good product and not break the bank.
I love it. That sounds great. And I know exactly where that is because in my days living in Midtown, I would take Mac. We would take Mac to go to the Trader Joe's and the Kroger out there in the Points. And I remember passing the comments and I would see that looks like a lovely little place. I never got to stop though. So it's really cool to see. And again, Jer, what do I love? I mean, third spaces, we love those, like the places where you can do multiple things and just meet people, like those natural interactions with other human beings are just, my lifeblood. And I know yours too.
Oh, 100%. And I'll have a lot more interesting stuff to share. I want to get into some stories, some of it more serious. This first one, I'm starting to get the idea. Between multiple media appearances, between a new piece in the Free Press today saying the Detroit WNBA team may not win rights to old name, what would you call it? I'm starting to get the hint. It's about 50-50. Our team's not going to be called the Detroit Shock.
Ooh.
I'm really starting to feel this vibes right now because in the article, I didn't realize this, the negotiations are still ongoing for that name. So that is not settled.
I was kind of hoping that was a done deal. I don't see them as any other name. Like, it's got to be the Shock, right? I mean, we got 3 WNBA titles to show for ourselves. It's like, you can't just, like, I'm trying to think of a team that, is pretty well known. The Spurs, if the San Antonio Spurs in basketball or the Miami Heat all of a sudden moved and changed their name, like you would lose everything. Like our titles, like who do the titles go to? They were the Shock, but it's a Detroit team. I don't like any of it. And I think even more so, even less in the weeds as a basketball fan, I don't think anybody will agree on a name. Like, I don't think there'd be any kind of consensus on what else to call this team. And so I think whatever it is, someone needs to dig in their pockets and get that Shock name, whatever it takes.
Listen, I don't want speculators to take away our basketball team name too. Because this just seems like if these people have money, like there's got to be a deal on the table.
The ownership group, we've seen the names. The ownership group includes, not only some of our biggest, wealthiest Detroiters, but also like athletes, sports figures. Just get the name. It can't cost that much.
I went back into the archives and I looked at the panel at the Mackinac Policy Conference because some listeners told me I need to go back and rewatch that for hints. And it's true. There are a lot of hints in there. One thing that Grant Hill talked about was calling it the Spirit. Arn Tellem, I'm sorry. We can't. He was talking about music history and maybe they could get the rights, calling them something like the Supremes. I'm sorry. Pull the aux cord, as Norris Howard says. Stop letting the geriatrics name our things.
I'm totally with you. I don't know how we say this, but it's one of those things where, like, we all love Motown. Okay, we get it. We love Motown. But, like, we can't just keep making that the only thing we're about and, like, naming everything with some nod to Motown. We can't do that. That's not a way to move forward. That's living in the past. And so, yes, I mean, don't do any Motown themes with the name. I would agree with that.
I would love to hear what you think. dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. Let's get into some development news. Something that is specifically close to your heart is the University of Michigan. And we have mentioned the University of Michigan's Center for Innovation earlier in the week, but I wanted to get your take because we got a lot of feedback from that. And people worried that the 313 units, they need to be for quote unquote real residents, or it needs to be real residential housing. And so people know this housing is for students and faculty of the University of Michigan. Tied into all of this, the mayor had a statement that said that the city needs to add 3,500 units of new housing every year to absorb the 7,000 or so new residents coming every year. So it's also a matter of supply and demand affordability, which I know a lot of people don't like when we talk about it, but supply and demand is a real thing. Let's get into it a little bit because I think UMCI is going to be such a huge boom in so many ways. I really hate this us-them narrative when, frankly, there still isn't enough things happening to cause this in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. We gotta stop with that, and we need both. we do need affordable housing. We need deeply affordable housing. We need some subsidized housing, and we need market rate housing. We still need market rate housing. Okay. And, I don't even know if the housing, if what's being built, you're kind of saying it's going to be for faculty and students. I don't know if that's going to be subsidized at all. It may just be market rate, or it may, however they work that out. But I don't see a problem with this. We just need more of everything. And if you're putting faculty who are living in the city and students who are living in the city, like, guess what? Those are residents too. Those now become residents. And what Detroit needs more than anything is more residents. So I think that, anything that gets Detroit more residents is a good thing. It increases the tax base. It's more people stimulating the local economy. It's more residents. That I don't see, like, Detroiters, they are, if they're living in Detroit and they're paying taxes there, then guess what? Their driver's license says Detroit, they are Detroiters. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry to those people. So we need both. We need all of it. And I think that the UMCI, it can benefit not only the University of Michigan, it can benefit the kind of innovation ecosystem that we're building downtown. I was just actually there the other day, walking past it in a meeting downtown. It's really impressive. It's really, really cool. And why can't it benefit the community and Detroiters, as you say? I mean, I think about Cass Tech. Why wouldn't the students at Cass Tech be interested in the Innovation Center at U of M and want to go there and experience it, maybe in high school or maybe after high school when they attend University of Michigan? So I would push back on anyone saying that this Innovation Center won't be for Detroiters, for residents, for whatever, and say, well, what about the schools? What about the future engineering students? What about the future entrepreneurs? The future tech people? It absolutely is for citizens of Detroit, I think.
We need to honor longtime residents, but we need to get out of the past. And one of the things about this is that people don't look into the details. That's one of the things that really frustrates me about going onto social media and other places. People haven't looked at the details. Like, there's programs that tie in with Detroit high school students, and there's programs that are going to work with the community, engineering stuff. The other side of this I would add is if there are going to be new residents coming, I would rather some new housing get built so that supply and demand thing, is buffered a little bit, instead of trying to put it into, if these people are going to be moving into the city anyway, all right, instead of going into other housing that will then push pressure up and make things more expensive, build stuff to absorb that demand, which is smart in what they're doing. I will also say, if you want District Detroit developed, I think the best chance that it has is that over time, the University of Michigan gobbles up parcel after parcel as a nonprofit, because it's pretty clear to me, like, the whole developer case for District Detroit seems dead in the water right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think however that works, whether it's University of Michigan or Stephen Ross and related, the more parcels that they own that the Illiches don't is good. That there's just no way around it, because I don't think that anyone can reasonably have any kind of optimism for an Illich owned parcel of land at this point. And so it's not going to work. It needs to be in the hands of someone who's actually going to do something with it.
Yeah, not that they've done absolutely nothing, but it's very much, I'll believe it when I'll see it at this point. Looking at the track record.
I don't have to be as diplomatic anymore, Jer, so I can say it. They aren't doing anything. They have a terrible, terrible track record. So yes, less Illich properties, more related, and Ross and U of M.
All right, let's end with something a little political, shall we? Because there's some interesting developments starting to happen with the Senate race, the governor's race. One thing I will mention is that your former employer, you're no longer connected to them, the Detroit Regional Chamber pulled the endorsement trigger very early in the cycle on Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan and his bid for governor. And that is notable because you just don't normally see these bigger moves this early. It feels like there's not only like a little bit of field clearing, but also clear signaling, hey, this is where money's going.
Yeah. To me, it wasn't surprising at all. Having known how the chamber operates and how our political action committee operates, which is very much, there's a PAC committee made up of board members who are on that. These are executives, these are nonprofit CEOs, private company CEOs. And Duggan has been a friend of the chamber for a long time. He shows up at our events. We have the chamber had a great relationship with Mike Duggan. And so I think that Duggan's vision for the state and the region are very much aligned with where the chamber and leadership are looking as well. And so it just makes too much sense to me that, they're aligned on policies. It made natural sense to endorse. I think it's kind of like, why just do it now, get this out of the way? Because I don't think you look at the field, unfortunately, Republican candidates just are weak right now. I think Benson is a pretty strong candidate, but I just don't think especially because of how she's going to have to track a little bit to the left. I don't see her getting that kind of Chamber of Commerce endorsement. And so to me, this was kind of natural. You could wait a few months and make the endorsement, but either way, I think it was always going to be Duggan.
Then real quick, I wanted to talk about something that I found interesting. I put a poll out on our threads, and threads tends to lean kind of left with stuff. But I put a poll out on our threads about the U.S. Senate race here in Michigan for the Democratic primary, asking about, Haley Stevens, who is generally seen as the front runner, depending on the poll by how much. But Stevens is the front runner. But I put a poll out there between Haley Stevens, Abdul El-Sayed, and Mallory McMurrow are not sure. And on threads, it was 61% McMurrow, all right? Which is wild to me because the latest poll that I saw, which candidly is a Republican poll, but another poll before that's nonpartisan, kind of echoed this, showed McMurrow at only 11%. And I just encourage people to open up their aperture around, and I mean, look, she's raised a lot of money, and I'm not trying to knock her. I'm more looking at being realistic about where the public actually is versus what your social media algorithms tell you, because the algorithm's reinforcing something that isn't real. Now, it could become real with fundraising. She did more than $2 million. Abdul El-Sayed did $1.8 million. Haley Stevens has millions from her previous account and raised more. But if you look at the most recent poll, again, it was a Republican poll, it puts Stevens at the top and then Abdul El-Sayed at 22%, McMurrow at 11%, and a big 40% that is undecided.
Again, this does not surprise me because I think we have to remember, especially in this day and age, to consider the source of the polls and the information. And to me, when you said a Threads poll, the millennial Instagram/online crowd is absolutely McMurrow's wheelhouse. That is her support, is millennials who are, connected to the news, connected to online, the type of people who go on Threads. That's exactly her base. And progressives in that space. That's exactly her base. And so it's not surprising that she would dominate a poll like that. But, think of the source. I don't think that's necessarily reality.
I would also say think of the source when it comes to that other poll I mentioned from the Republican committee. In their world, Abdul El-Sayed is their perfect candidate to run against because he pulls 6-7 points consistently negative against Rogers because this is a much more purple state than and that's one thing to remember is there is that rise of the DSA in New York, but in Michigan, I'm very skeptical that as much as I like
it doesn't work here.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical of work. And I'm not endorsing anybody. I'd love to have all these people on the show and kind of kick the tires and talk about different ideas.
My thing is more about the personality, the candidate themselves. Someone who got themselves out there, put themselves on Instagram and social media and everything and got out there and did things that caused buzz. And to me, it's actually McMurrow has that potential. She's kind of gone semi-viral before for other things in her career, stuff that's happened to her. And so she already kind of has that ability. And so she's kind of shown that ability to really harness social media. So I think that of all the candidates, maybe save for El-Sayed, but I think McMurrow is the best, at least so far, or has the most potential in harnessing the online culture, the social media, the viral culture. That's what she can do that. And so that's why I think she's going to be very, very formidable.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the no PAC energy that McMurrow's not taking money from PACs, Sayed's not taking money from PACs. One of them needs to drop out if they want to beat Haley Stevens. If the two of
Yep.
you know what I mean, they're eating the same vote because outside of the core cities, the progressive wing doesn't really exist in Michigan. And so if you want to win out anywhere outside of Metro Detroit, you have, one of the two has to bow out, or else I think that it's going to be hard to beat Haley Stevens.
No, I totally agree with you, Jared, but I'm not optimistic about that necessarily, because I feel like each of them, it's not like they're buddies who are kind of running simpatico. Like, they also probably each feel like they are very different candidates, which in ways they are. And so the broader public may see them as kind of the same lane, but I think they see each other as very different types of candidates. And so I don't see anyone being like, no, you got this one. I don't know. We'll see.
And this is where the upcoming signatures that are going around, there's signatures going around to implement ranked choice voting. This is where ranked choice voting would have made a huge difference, right? Because we're first past the post in Michigan, and this race is going to be that way. But if we were ranked choice voting, that changes that dynamic a ton. The reality is we're not. The reality is we still have a very uphill ride to ranked choice voting. I want to have somebody.
We're not getting ranked choice voting.
You don't think
we're not
so?
going to get it. No, not a chance, dear. Come on. Again, you're trying to feed ranked choice voting to a very purple Michigan, a very older electorate. I know I saw you did something on, the Detroit and how older voters are the majority. They don't want ranked choice voting. People 40 and above have a very hard time even understanding how ranked choice voting works. I'm not saying I don't like the idea, but I'm calling it right now. No chance on how.
So I'm going to end the show here with a call to action for us people under 50 in the political process to be present, because we're absent right now from it in a lot of ways. There are some energy, but if we talk about things like transit, that's just not going to get passed by an electorate that's over 60. It's just not, right? All these things that we keep talking about, you've got to get, I don't care what candidate. That's not my job. But if you care about any of these issues, like in the city of Detroit, there's a zoning hearing on the end of the month, July 31st. I don't know all the details, but it's right after work, talking about zoning changes. A lot of things our audience is passionate about. There's Transportation Writers United. There's candidates. I don't care which ones. That's not my place to tell you. But I say, if you want things to happen, you must get involved yourself. This is a call to action. Because if you don't and send me an email, nothing is going to change. Send me an email. If you want me to help you direct to somebody, I will play neutral and be like, hey, what are you actually interested in?
The silent majority needs to step up. If, there are so many unengaged, disengaged voters under 40, even 45, 50, whatever you want to say, Jer. And they have a lot of opinions. They have a lot of feelings, but they haven't been able to coalesce and really push their agenda across the board, because those boomers are still dominating the voting booths. And until you do something about it, it's not going to change.
By the way, a final reminder, okay? Tickets are gone for our studio meetup starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday here at Tech Town. But if you are hearing this at the last minute, you can slide on in. You don't have to be there the whole time. You can stop in for a little bit. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's an open house. People will come and go. If you love the show this much and you're listening at minute, close to minute 30 of the show on Friday, right before the event happens, and you're on the fence, I'm telling you, even though the tickets are sold out, come on by, because I know you're passionate about all of these things. All right, we are done for today. Thank you so much to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/dailydetroit. I'm Jer Stays.
I'm Devin O'Reilly.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.